If you live under a rock and you didn't know, Bleach is getting its final arc animated, the 1000-year Blood War arc. For many years, Bleach has constantly been the black sheep of the big three and getting the short end of the stick to where it ends up getting criticized for many things, such as Ichigo not being an interesting main character, for having repetitive themed arcs, and the art slowly declining as the story went on, even to the point where some fans who aren't well informed about the big three to this day say that Dragon Ball is in the big three and not Bleach. Compared to a lot of shonen manga, there are always these ongoing trends where the main character is optimistic about everything and tends to be really selfish about their dreams and goals. One of the most notable traits each of these main characters also have is that they have an endless black hole of a stomach for an appetite. A lot of people who aren't Bleach fans tend to complain about the beginning of Bleach and how boring it is. In the first arc, the Agent of the Shinigami arc, which is 70 chapters for the manga and 20 episodes in the anime, the story spends all that time teaching us about the world of Bleach and who Ichigo is, with the exception of a little foreshadowing. For example, when heading into Soul Society, Isshin gives Ichigo a talisman for good luck that was originally Masaki's, and it's simple moments in the story like that where you kind of get the idea that Isshin knows what Ichigo is doing, and you kind of realize that he knows about Soul Society before realizing that Isshin used to be a captain. Or when Kon and Isshin spend that little time in the rain talking to each other in episode 8, Isshin never calls Kon by his name, and that's something Isshin tells Kon when saving him from Grand Fisher in the beginning of the Arankar saga. When Ichigo is fighting Grand Fisher, Rukia almost interferes, but she recalls a moment of Uketake talking about honor, and this later gets expanded upon during the Soul Society arc when we learn about Rukia's past when she first joined the Gote 13. Another example is when Ichigo is training with Kisuke, who comes off as mysterious and sort of goofy, but he knows so much, from Matsuls to Quincy, Zanpakuto, and even how to invade Soul Society. We then find out he was a captain from Ichigo's fight with Ikkaku, and in the Turn Back the Pendulum arc, we find out he was previously exiled from Soul Society and the creator of the Hogyoku. When it comes to Ichigo being a boring main character, I think some people forget that Ichigo still lives in the real world and he doesn't have the distinct goal of becoming something special. He just wants to protect his family and friends compared to One Piece or Naruto, and that's something that is perfectly fine and it works pretty well in the case of Bleach. In chapter 19 of the manga and episode 8 of the anime, Ichigo says, "At a real small age, I heard my dad say that the name Ichigo has the meaning to protect one thing attached to it. At that time, I remember thinking that if that's so, then I want to protect mom, who always protects me." Later in the chapter and episode, the story emphasizes that a younger Ichigo can see spirits, as the spirit of the little girl Ichigo tries to save. And he also states that he couldn't tell the difference between the living or dead, which now that he's older he can tell the distinct difference, and that's why he blames himself for his mother's death. Which makes sense because back in the first chapter, Ichigo talked about being able to clearly see spirits as a little kid. This is the beginning of Ichigo's inner conflict within himself, and it makes him feel human, having to go through the transition of going through depression and adulthood, which is something that readers and watchers can relate to, teen or adult. In chapter 165 and episode 59 of the anime, Byakuya was about to finish off Ichigo, who ended up getting saved by his inner hollow during this fight. His hollow got an attack on Byakuya and even had the upper side of the battle, but Ichigo ripped off the mask. As Byakuya noted, he would have won, but he realized that Ichigo didn't want it that way. The Soul Society arc concludes shortly after the fight with Byakuya and the reveal that Aizen has been hoeing Soul Society for the longest time. During the next major arc of the story, the Arankar saga, the longest major arc of Bleach, shows us when Shinji and Ichigo encounter each other for the first time. Shinji tells Ichigo he knows about his hollow and that he is a visor just like him, revealing a hollow mask similar to how Ichigo had his hollow mask during his fight with Byakuya. The next day, Ichigo is disturbed by this and he acts very similar to when it was the day before his mother's anniversary, wanting to be alone, because Ichigo is the type of person who isn't the best at hiding his true feelings. And so his friends Orihime and Chad even notice it, and they go to talk to Shinji and Hiyori asking what they want with Ichigo. When Ichigo gets home from school, Isshin attacks Ichigo like he normally does, and Ichigo takes the hit instead of trying to react and attack. Yuzu and Karin take notice of this. They even ask if he's sick, but he just wants to be alone and not be disturbed. Karin goes to Ichigo's room even after being concerned for Ichigo, but Ichigo puts up a facade and laughs when Karin says that Ichigo is a soul reaper. Ulquiorra and Yami invaded Karakura town as Karin and Ichigo were talking, and so Ichigo left in the midst of their conversation and helped out Orihime and Chad. Orihime instantly realized that something's up with Ichigo's spiritual pressure, noting that it's a lot more different than at Sokyoku Hill when Ichigo fought Byakuya. She even went on to say that it doesn't seem like Ichigo. When Ichigo tells Orihime to stay back, Orihime is visibly shaken by it. After that invasion, when Ichigo went back to school, Ichigo felt helpless because he couldn't protect Chad, Orihime, or Tatsuki, as he says that Tatsuki even almost died. He started saying that he was too weak and that he was guilty that he couldn't protect anyone that time. During the next Arrancar invasion, Chad got attacked by an Arrancar, but Ichigo came in time to save Chad. Ichigo, just like with Orihime, proceeded to tell Chad to step back and that he has it under control. Chad Hur, after hearing what Ichigo said to him, ran away and wondered if they'd ever be able to fight together again. Orihime had her own demons in this arc, being jealous of the relationship Ichigo and Rukia had, and even just wanting to be of use to people. That's why when Kisuke was telling Orihime that they didn't need her, it was somewhat for that reason, but he was also trying to protect her because he would suspect that Aizen would go for Orihime, and in the process ended up hurting Orihime's personal feelings. And that's another thing I like about Bleach, and it helps me enjoy it even more, because in the substitute of the Shinigami arc, the beginning of the Arrancar saga, and in the Fullbring arc where Kubo gives us a breath of fresh air, and the story all of a sudden isn't just about Shinigami, but time to focus on the characters and make you really understand them more. After Ichigo's fight with Grimmjow, where they got interfered with by Tosen, Grimmjow retreated and Ichigo got left feeling defeated that he lost and that he couldn't protect Rukia, especially when she got attacked right in front of him. The beginning of the Arrancar saga is a huge key to understanding Ichigo's character, which the YouTuber DBZIMRAN and the GOAT who heavily inspired me to make this video said that Ichigo and Spider-Man are similar, because both are heroes who help people by saving them, but are also trying to live a somewhat normal life. Also, his channel link in his Bleach Ruined Reputation video will be in the description below. Show him some love. In the Fullbring arc, an arc which lots of people didn't really enjoy at first, and even decided to skip. I don't know why you would skip an arc. The same situation where people say they've skipped Skypiea from One Piece, like that makes no sense at all. The arc gives you a step back from all the crazy godlike power scaling, and it gives you a breath of fresh air when reading or watching it. It heavily focuses on Ichigo's character and how he's trying to handle life as a normal human but not being able to protect the ones he loves anymore. His friends can even tell that he's struggling to come to terms with his reality. Imran also said that the Fullbring arc and or the Lost Agent arc was a reboot for the Agent of the Shinigami arc, where the Lost Agent arc is constantly hinting towards the Agent of the Shinigami arc, and they have many similarities. In this time skip, everyone is 17 months older than they were in the Arrancar saga. This time Ichigo can't see spirits, but instead Karin can. And it's a parallel to the first chapter and first episode where Ichigo was originally getting annoyed by spirits. In the first arc, Ichigo still stops people from doing stupid shit. The parallel being in the first episode and chapter where there were 3 morons who decided to knock over a vase Ichigo gave to the spirit and he beat them up. In the Fullbring arc, Ichigo stopped the guy who was robbing Ginjo and beat him up. He still has his amazing fighting abilities, but as Ichigo noted, his reflexes are better than they've ever been. What made Ichigo's character shine in this arc was when we started seeing cracks in his attitude where you could see he started to really almost fall into despair because Tsukishima went for what was most important to Ichigo and went for his loved ones. At the house in the woods, I don't fucking know the location and the name of the building, but you know what I'm talking about. Ichigo gets invited by Tsukishima to come inside and Yuzu, Karin, and his friends including Ikumi are all there. They all get to see him as they keep telling him to apologize to Tsukishima, but Ichigo couldn't bear it, so he left the room running. This was also one, if not the only few times Ichigo has actually said that he's wanted to kill someone. Ichigo encountered Tsukishima again and attacked him, but Chad and Orihime appeared by his side. Ichigo even got attacked by Chad, and Ichigo is conflicted because he didn't want to fight Orihime or Chad even if he had to. He even asked himself why did he even regain his powers, because throughout the story the main thing about Ichigo is all he wants to do is protect his loved ones. Ichigo soon got betrayed by Ginjo, the only one Ichigo actually thought he could trust, and when Ichigo got his Fullbring taken away from him, Ichigo finally lost it, broke down, and cried. This shows that Ichigo felt true despair and almost lost himself because his whole purpose in the entire story was to protect. That's his dream. Something he practically promised to himself when his mom was alive and especially after she died. It hurt Ichigo when his family and friends were under the illusion that Tsukishima was an important person to everyone because he was the only one who actually knew the truth, but since everyone else was under that illusion, Ichigo looked like the psycho to his family and friends when he went off on Tsukishima. One parallel during this arc that I instantly noticed was when Ichigo got stabbed by Rukia to get his Shinigami powers back. In the beginning, a similar moment had happened where he first got stabbed by Rukia to protect his sisters in the first arc. Bleach also has some of the most iconic and memorable casts, ranging from the captains to the Espada and even the Vizards. Each character has certain traits, and when looking at them, even with them all wearing Shihakusho, they all have their own little details Kubo gives them to help recognize who the character is. Bleach also has one of the best villains of all time. Yes, it was all a part of his plan, Aizen's plan. From one of the smartest characters of all time beside Kisuke, Aizen, one of the most deceitful and cunning characters, from deceiving all of Soul Society for 100 years to almost becoming the Soul King. A lot of people still didn't understand exactly what Aizen's true goal was, but it was to acquire the Hogyoku and use it on himself, and finding the Okin to go to the Soul Palace and become the Soul King because Aizen wanted to change the world. He thought the idea of an idle king was sickening to him. He didn't want to live under a false king, so he took that role upon himself to change the world. Out of the big three, I definitely think that Bleach has the better females out of the series, with Orihime, Yoruichi, Rangiku, Hollybell, Older Nell, Isane, and if you've seen the iconic Bleach filler episode, you know that Bleach has some of the most finest female characters of all time. And as me and my friend would like to say, we blame Kubo for our taste in slim and thick body types. To the people who ship Ichigo x Rukia, I guess I could kinda see why you ship them, but until the Wako Mundo invasion, I really just don't see the ship selling. Especially in the manga, where it's way clearer that Kubo wanted to push towards the idea of Ichigo x Orihime to be the main pairing. In the beginning of the Urankar saga, Orihime says to Rangiku that she hates feeling jealous about Rukia. She explains that Rukia is kind, strong, and beautiful, and that she loves Rukia for cheering up Ichigo, and then calls herself a witch for being upset about their relationship. But then Rangiku tells Orihime that being jealous isn't a bad thing, and that she's proud of her for accepting her feelings for what they are, in the end making Orihime feel better. Little moments like these are really what makes me appreciate Orihime as a character more and more every time I go back to rewatch or reread the series. And especially as I'm going through my teen years, I really relate to them as I'm older. I understand each character's feelings and why they feel as they do. Quick heads up, if you don't know, Bleach had a pilot chapter, Chapter 0, a little one-shot Kubo made before Bleach became a serialized manga. And essentially it's about Orihime dying by falling down a step of stairs. And we find out that Orihime died by her dad, who pushed her down the stairs. Her dad confessed to her that he pushed her off the stairs because he was jealous she stopped praying to him when she went to high school. This sound a little familiar? Yeah, I think something like this happened in the manga too. Just like how Sora tried attacking Orihime's soul form, her dad did the same, and Ichigo is the one who came to protect her. In the end, Orihime used Ichigo's Zanpakuto to stab through her dad, and she told him that she never forgot about him and that she wanted him to know about her friends, similar to what she did with Sora. Ever since the beginning, Orihime has had feelings for Ichigo, and it's evident throughout the entire manga that Kubo has always intended for it to be this way, especially during her confession to Ichigo before going to Wako Mundo, and everything after that. I'd feel really bad for Orihime if she never got with Ichigo. It was just obvious that Kubo wanted that to happen. So, Ichiruki fans, I'm sorry, but we're smoking your pack. For people who don't know, Bleach is also the 11th best-selling manga in history. It's been at the top for 10 years ever since the anime stopped, and I think when the 1000-Year Blood War gets animated, it really is gonna spike the Bleach manga sales by a lot, especially since they have to animate over 200 chapters. And some fans like myself would love to see a little bit of extra content within the anime. If you're one of the people who think there's a new or old Big Three, there isn't. It's literally just called the Big Three, which is One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. This debate's been going on for too long, alright? If you're one of the people who say Dragon Ball's in the Big Three, I don't know what to say. You're fucked up in the head. It's a joke. Relax. In 2021, Bleach fans had a good year, from having the new one-shot to hinting at a new arc in the near future. Fans and I are hoping for this, only if Kubo is in good spirits though. The Bleach x Marvel collaboration, Bleach's art exhibition, and Bleach's anime teaser. To add to Bleach's anime return, quite a bit of mangaka paid tribute to Kubo by drawing sketches of characters from Bleach. Akatami of JJK, the mangaka of Demon Slayer, I don't know how to pronounce her name, don't roast me in the comments either, Oda of One Piece, Inagaki of Dr. Stone, Horikoshi of My Hero Academia, and even Matsui of Assassination Classroom also paid tributes to the return of Bleach. My favorite sketches were from Tabata of Black Clover and Kishimoto from the Naruto series. All these mangaka respect each other's works, but their communities not so much. A lot of people who read or watched JJK would actually say that the early stages of it were inspired by Bleach. And even Akatami had an interview talking to Kubo and said that Bleach was what introduced him to the concept of mangaka. Akutami even said in the same interview, "Everyone tells me all the time, you must have been influenced by Bleach. Of course, I'm inspired by the things I read, and sometimes they affect my work in ways I don't notice until I look back on it later. In that sense, yes, I've been influenced in a major way." Long story short, Akutami has a deep love for Bleach, and that's how most of the anime community feels when they first watched or read any of the big three when they were younger. In the most recent chapters of Black Clover, Tabata has clearly been inspired by Bleach, especially if you've been caught up and reading on it weekly. In an editor's comment section that Shueisha often does where mangaka get to talk about whatever they want to, Tabata honored Kubo and said, "Being in the same magazine as Kubo sensei is getting me hyped. Better do my best." Overall, I really love the most recent chapters of Black Clover. Tabata's art is really amazing, though it sucked that this manga started out hated, but a lot of people have respect for it now. I think most series should be respected because you can imagine if you tried making a manga on a weekly basis, I doubt you could do it as well as these creators. Although I really wish the best for the future of Black Clover. Horikoshi, the mangaka of My Hero Academia, had an interview with Kubo. Originally, they met at a dinner party but didn't exactly speak to each other. Kubo said Horikoshi didn't utter a single word to him then. But soon their relationship got better, and in the interview Kubo said that he was always impressed by Horikoshi's art, and how he was able to always cram so much into a weekly release. In the interview, we learned that they once had a taxi ride together, and Horikoshi said, "I've never forgotten something you once told me, Kubo-sensei. We were in a taxi, and I was getting angsty about not knowing my own strengths. Without hesitation, you said, 'It's your art,' and I felt like the path ahead was suddenly clear." Kubo himself said, "I don't remember the conversation being that angsty, but yes, I'm pretty sure it's your art. That was exactly what I said to you." I really love the relationships mangaka have with each other, how they inspire and influence each other in their art. It's something beautiful and a fun thing to just look at in your own free time. Something I really love about what Kubo writes are his poems at the beginning of the chapters. We fear that which we cannot see. And my favorite poem, "If I were to rain, that joins sky and earth that otherwise never touch, could I join two hearts as well?" In the anime, they're hard to notice, but some of Kubo's poems will be used in some of the episodes. I have yet to notice the others, but I find the beauty in these poems. I can't really explain the vibe I get from them, but it helps me love the story and the characters even more. Kubo also has these little sketches at the end of each chapter insinuating something that's going on in the story, or even just a way to express how some characters are feeling. A video titled The Fall of Bleach by Super Eyepatch Wolf came out originally in 2016. It's deleted now, but it came out the same week Bleach was finishing off its last few chapters, and the video's timing really convinced a lot of people that Bleach did fall. To this day, I still hear people say that Kubo's artwork has declined as time went on and that he basically doesn't draw backgrounds anymore. Kubo's artwork didn't decline, it just evolved into something different and more detailed. Any mangaka might have a different or newer art style, especially as the years go on. It's just about evolving as an artist and improving. I mean, imagine if the last two Bleach arcs, the 1000-Year Blood War and the Fullbring arc, had Kubo's older art style in these arcs. It wouldn't feel right. I love both art styles, but the old one wouldn't fit with the tone as the series moved on. For the background part, Kubo said he intentionally drew less backgrounds because they distract the reader, and it allows the reader to see the heart of the character and what's going on inside them. Anyone wondering, I do enjoy Wolf's content on his channel. I did actually enjoy watching the Bleach video, like how it was made and stuff, but that's about it.